Welcome to Birmingham in the British GP, the first round of the 2023 season. Obviously, we have our two reigning champions here, as well as some of the top competitors for the 2023 season, and our CEO of SX Global, Mr. Adam Bailey. Introduce you to who we have here on our panel, kicking things off with Dean Wilson and Max Anstey, right next to Adam here, who are with the Firepower Honda Squad. Our reigning WSX champion, Ken Roxon with PMG Suzuki. We have Shane McElrath and Colt Nichols. Shane, of course, our SX2 champion from last year. They're with Rick Ware Racing. And our new ambassador for the series, two-time champion from the States, Chad Reed, who will also be working with Jeff Emig and Kristen Beat alongside me on our TV crew. So welcome, Chad, to the TV business. To the dark side you come. Okay, we have 6 races this year in 2023 as we kick off our first real season of World Supercross, which we're all very excited about. New addition to the schedule just announced this past week or so that we'll be going to Abu Dhabi, along with Dusseldorf, Germany, Vancouver, Canada, Singapore, and Melbourne, Australia. It's going to be a tremendous season as we go around the globe. We're going to open this up for panel discussion. Please feel free to raise your hand. I'll call on you. We'll get a microphone to you. You can ask any questions you like of any of our guests. When we're done here, we're going to be going down to the locker room for a special photo opportunity down there, and then out into the grandstands where we'll also have more photo opportunities and a chance for you to do some one-on-one questions and get some great shots of the racetrack. Okay? Sound good? All right. Thank you, Jeff. Glad you're playing along. Let's go ahead and raise some hands and let's get some questions. Anybody? It is a press conference. Feel free to do so. Okay, go ahead.
Max, this one's for you, mate. You probably had your best Supercross season, I guess the first part of the year in Supercross. So is the proof in the pudding for you in terms of doing Supercross all year? And I guess how did last year's championship roll into the American series, and then how does that roll into this series coming up?
Yeah, I think the main reason for the Supercross year-round kind of thing was, you know, I missed a lot of years of Supercross when I was racing the MXGPs. You know, I've raced 450s over there for years, and then when I came to America, I realized that I want to be successful in Supercross, but I'm missing years of experience, especially in the 450 class. And you know, luckily the way things work out. I mean, I've been around the pits long enough to be able to race this 250. Martin Davalos, Yuriv Konski, they called me and it was like, man, give this 250 a shot. Let's go and race and be competitive in the 250 class. And I was like, man, I'm not sure in the beginning. You know, I'm so glad that I did now. You know, coming off of last year's World Supercross was the first run with the team. It was almost like a test run with the team. I was seeing how we all gelled, how the bike was. I had no idea how I was going to fit in the 250 class, or even, you know, how to ride a 250 again. I'd been so used to 450 power. It took me a while to get used to it, but then I came into the US Supercross feeling pretty good. Had some great results, even surprised myself with a few things. And that momentum has kept rolling. The bike's relatively similar. They've upgraded some things. I'm, super grateful for Marty, for the whole team's effort, dynamic, the way that we all work together. And coming into this second year of World Supercross, I feel like I'm in a really good spot with the bike. I've enhanced my skills and technique with the Supercross way of, the craft, the Supercross craft. At the end of the day, I've done enough outdoors in my career. I'm happy with Supercross, and being a part of this World Supercross is something very special. Obviously, first round here for me, being at home in England, and also just being able to race Supercross under the lights. It's always been the dream. So I feel like we're in a good position and ready to go racing on Saturday night.
Okay, Jeff.
So for the average, if you were talking to the average viewer, and this would be for Shane, I think that's a good way to expand on it. Like, how could you explain what the difference is between a 250 and a 450? Because if you watch it for the average viewer, it looks like bikes going around the track, but there's a big difference as far as power and all that. So what would that difference be?
Yeah, so kind of the biggest difference would start out with the power, like you said. It's 10, 15, 20 pounds lighter, depending on what you have done to it. And so really it's a different, like Max has been on 450s for a long time. I've been on the 450 for 3 years now, and you can get lazy. Like they talk about four strokes being a lazy man's bike, and the 250 competitively, there's no such thing as being lazy on it. Like you have to be aggressive on it the whole time. Whereas the 450, you can get away with a lot of stuff because the power's there. Whereas the 250, it's almost all momentum. And so I think that's where we see Max being super solid, is like you never can tell when he's actually pushing because the style he developed on the 450. And for me, getting back on the 250, it took me a little bit to, like, I guess, stay in the power longer. It's like you shut off in a rhythm, and there's so much engine brake that it's like you won't make the jump. It's like, okay. So it's a big mental shift also, but like from the stands looking at the track, if you can hear the bike, you'll only hear the difference. But like when we're riding the bike, it's almost a different style of riding. The 450 guys are normally more experienced, normally a lot smoother. The 250 guys, you kind of see them get a little bit more out of line, I guess, and get away with it because there's a lot more room for error on the 250. So I think it's as people watch the racing, I think they'll start to see some of the differences. But starting out from the biggest differences is power, and if you can hear the sound, like really pay attention to that.
Next question, please. Yes.
Chad Reed, with your role from being a competitor to now your involvement with WXX, can you explain to me what your role is now?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a moving target, which is what I probably am most excited about. You know, I think my career speaks for itself. Like I've enjoyed moving around, you know, doing a bit of everything. The most exciting part of my career was, you know, stepping out of a factory race team and creating my own, and taking on the burden of creating, you know, people and, you know, the camaraderie amongst the mechanics and riders, and, you know, then trying to build relationships with the factories. And so with all that experience, I guess just trying to piece all that together. You know, I was here in 2002 when we started trying to do World Supercross for the first time with, I don't even know what the company was back then. It's been through 3 different hands. But, and so kind of experiencing that and seeing the potential that it had, but then kind of like the shortfalls that we did, I think, as an industry, as a series promotion, and then I think as athletes, you know, you get older and perspective comes, and I think that you can look at all that differently. And so my goal is to, you know, give advice and help Adam and his team in a different way, you know, and kind of just be neutral, you know, not really be team WSX or team riders, team. Just try to be, you know, pretty neutral and kind of stick to who I am as a person and be real, be honest. Adam may not always want to hear that, but that's my promise. And I'm excited for the role. I'm excited to go around the world. You know, in a lot of ways, I'm jealous, you know, like what these guys are getting and the opportunity they're getting. Go to places like Singapore, Abu Dhabi, looks really exciting. At times makes me want to get back on the bicycle and put my running shoes back on and get back out there and have some fun with them. But no, I'm excited to help grow the sport of Supercross.
Do you want to say anything about how excited you are to be with?
I'm trying to lessen my time in the booth.
Well, we're excited to have you anyway. Any other questions? Gypsy Tales.
Obviously, when it's just like dates on a website, and you know you see the places that we're going to, and you know it's sort of you've got other things, other priorities that you know for the start of the year. But we're here at the first round. There's going to be multiple stops all over the world. You've got a big red #1 background on your bike. Does it kind of sink in now at this first round that like holy shit, like we're actually racing a world championship this year. We've got races all around the world, and I'm the dude to beat, going to your home country in Germany. Like, does it sort of start to feel real? And like, what's the excitement like now that we're actually in the stadium?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, excuse me. These last few weeks, we've all just been waiting for this day to finally start, right? Like, we've been talking about it for a long time, and it always seems so far away, but then it comes around real quick. So we're getting a little bit of a first taste, I guess I should say, this weekend. It's unfortunate we have such a long break in between, of course, right? But overall, I wish we could have the races closer together. But looking at the races as a whole, going to all these different places, that's what I grew up doing, racing European Championship and GPs. And I've done the same thing for a long time in the U.S. You know, it was a little monotonous for me, January through September, of the same deal. And this year I wanted to give this a shot for doing a Supercross only deal, and I would do that decision over and over again. And yeah, I just can't wait to get this thing started and go into places that I've never even been to. I've always said once I retire, I want to travel to a bunch of different places, since that's what I was used to back in the day. And I get the opportunity to kind of cross over as, you know, this being my job, but yet go into places that I've never been to. So I'm extremely excited for that. And then, of course, I haven't had a red background and a number one in a really long time, so I'm definitely enjoying that, especially just with a mix-up of, you know, our stickers. Like, I think I'm still a kid with that stuff. I think we all are. We like seeing all kinds of cool stuff on our bikes, and having a little mid-season change-up in looks is super cool, and riding a number one again. And yeah, I'm excited to get this thing started tomorrow and get back into racing.
Next question. Jess?
Colt, how are you feeling about entering the World Supercross as opposed to things you've done in your first time out there doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited. It's, I mean, new adventure kind of for everybody. You know, this first season with six full rounds instead of 2, and just a really cool concept. You know, like these guys have kind of touched, to do kind of a Supercross only schedule for me was cool. And this Supercross season, rookie year on the 450, it was new, exciting, you know, something I'd never done. So we're kind of tackling a lot of things all in one year. So to come here, be on a 450 again, and, you know, race against, I feel like, a really good competition. We got a good bike with the Rick Ware Racing team, and I'm just excited. It's, you know, I get to travel the world, you get paid to do it, and, you know, get to race on the weekends. So what could be better than that? But I'm very, very excited. Like I said, it's been something I've wanted to do for a while. Even last year, I wanted to be a part of this whole deal. It didn't work out, but I knew for sure if I had an opportunity to do this again, I really wanted to do it. So, man, I'm just pumped to be here. I'm pumped Rick and all the guys wanted me to come back, and yeah, I'm just excited to get this thing going.
Next. Jeff?
Dean Wilson, we had a conversation yesterday, and you were talking about how you really are feeling as good on the bike as what you've felt in a long time. So if you could just expand on that, what's been going on?
Yeah, I think just half of it is being healthy for as long as I have been. Unfortunately, had a lot of injuries. Had that injury last year where I had a hole in my bum. So I had to heal up from that, and it wasn't just that though. I bled out really bad, and I became anemic, and I really had to build my body back up. So so far it's been a good year. It started off slow, and I've really just worked on everything, and not just my riding, but my health, and yeah, I just feel like I'm in a really good place, and I'm just very grateful to do, you know, this World Supercross. It's like what Kenny said, to be able to go to these different countries. You know, this one being like a home race for me and Max, and I got family coming up from Scotland, which is really cool. And then just going to all these different countries and exploring, and, you know, getting to see different cultures and stuff like that. It's awesome. So yeah, excited to be in the series, and I'm feeling good, and I'm excited for it, which is nice. I haven't really felt excited and like really rejuvenated like this in a while. So yeah, it should be good.
Well, thanks for last year's highlight, and light the candles for us one of these.
That would be nice. That would be nice. I haven't won in a long time, so you know, you never know, but that would be nice.
Well, I haven't said that in a while, so I'd be happy to say it for you, Dean, if we can do it. Okay, who's anybody else? Yes.
Question for Ken. Ken, on the format for World Supercross, do you have to adjust your practice schedule, or any of you guys, compared to the MA? And what do you think of the format here, the shorter races?
I think I would start off answering this question as for us guys being on the East Coast, it's a little tough during the summer. In Florida, it rains a lot, right? So I've been riding a lot of motocross in the last couple of weeks or since High Point. And I've had a day of Supercross on Tuesday, which I feel like motocross transitions over to Supercross pretty well compared to racing or riding Supercross and going into a motocross track. So I'm confident that I'll be fine. And so, of course, with the format being a little different, you try and get used to the 3 races, things like that. It's been extremely hot all over the East Coast, so that obviously puts up a whole other challenge. But other than that, I've been kind of running my own program and do as I please, and this whole workout and strength training, all that, I've kind of used it as a hobby lately and been really enjoying it. I think that's the foundation for success. And yeah, so we adjust little things, but I think mainly it would be the riding side of things, just because we do 3 mains instead of 1. And yeah, so I've been riding a lot of motocross and just trying to stay healthy and trying to stay ready.
Anybody else? Gypsy.
Chad, can you speak about the depth in both classes? But in particular, I think the 450 class is pretty stacked. I mean, both classes are stacked from where I'm sitting. But for you, as someone that has a really, really good idea of the landscape racing with a lot of these guys, maybe speak a little bit on the depth of the series. And are we going to see this thing come down to the last round? Is there going to be some pretty gnarly championship battles coming, do you think?
I think the roll off of the last question to Kenny, I think the racing format, it creates its own crazy. Look at Kenny last year. It seemed like everything was falling into place pretty easy for him, and a flat tire, almost took him out of it. So I think that, understanding that they're back-to-back races like that, I think that, takes some of the, some of maybe Kenny's strengths of us looking at Kenny as the race winner in Supercross this season and multiple times other seasons. For me, I look at the lights class as a really exciting class. Watching from the couch this season was quite painful, watching Supercross in the winter. And it's kind of nice to see that the class that we have, I think, is quite a lot more competitive. I think that when you combine a series together and put the talent all in one race rather than splitting them up, I think allows for better racing. So for me, I think it's going to be exciting. I think the schedule will, bring that excitement as well. So yeah, and you just never know. I think that, on subject, off subject, but for me, I sit and I look at guys, and I've experienced Supercross only, multiple times in my career, and you can feel these guys next to me because I've been there. They don't really know what to do with all this time on their hands, right? You're so wired to live a schedule of 17 races in 18 weeks, a weekend off, and go racing during the summer. And, and it's kind of funny because I see they're all kind of don't know what to do with themselves. And I think that that's what's so exciting and so intriguing about this championship is, I think at the highest level of racing, you need to be Supercross only. I think that gives that opportunity. And I think that these guys are going to need a year or two to relearn some things. I think, I see a lot of, they're in motion, right? And I think that over the next couple of years, hopefully we can, at World Supercross, can bring, personalities back and change up what's been normal. I lived that life for 22 years and I am watching it play out in front of me. So hopefully I can play a role in helping these guys make that transition.
I've got a question for Alan Bailey. With last year being 2 rounds, this year being 6, can you give some insight into the future, into 2024, what your goals are in the future seasons?
Yeah, I think for us, it's sustainable growth is the number one thing, and coming into this thing, we knew it was going to be very difficult, and there's I've said it 1,000 times, but there's a reason why it hasn't been done before. So we're learning on the fly, and I sort of keep saying as well, it's like kind of building a plane while it's already in the air, and you're trying to fix everything before it drops out of the air, and trying to make sure that you do it properly. So there is going to be changes. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be things that don't work, and we're going to have to adapt quickly. So I think what the future looks like is hopefully it becomes, it will become more stable. And we're working now on like our deal in Abu Dhabi is for multi-year. Our deal in Melbourne is for multi-year, and we're working on multiple multi-year kind of, partnerships and events to add to the schedule. So, we plan to sort of grow, by another 2 races per year for the next, 3 or 4 years. But in saying that, we'll only do that if they're going to be, awesome. I think that's the thing is that unless we can do it at the absolute highest quality at this stage of our business's life cycle, it has to be great or it's not. It's too risky to do. So I think for us, we plan to grow in a sustainable way, but focus on doing great events in great locations and putting on great shows. And if we can do more and grow faster, great. If we have to stabilise, we will. We'll just adapt in kind of real time. But we just want to find marquee locations that are hungry for Supercross because we know there's millions of fans around the world that want to see these guys race. And we just got to take it to them. So we'll just keep working hard on that. We've got a lot happening already, and my focus right now for my personal time is on next year and beyond. This event and this weekend is well under control. Our team are all over it, so I've got to keep working on locking that schedule down for the future years.
For those of you that might not have heard, that race in Abu Dhabi will be the first weekend in November. Jeff? No? Yes.
Question for Adam. The British Grand Prix was in October last year. Now it's moved to July, and there's obviously an MXGP and the World Cup at the same time. Would it be sustainable going forward to have this championship run alongside those two over the summer, and what was the reason to start so early this year?
It's not ideal to be this early in the year, and it's something that will adapt and change moving forward. I think the next year's series will see August at the earliest through to November. But the reason why we are this early is just venue availability. And when we were trying to establish a championship last year, there just wasn't any venues available, particularly in a Premier League venue. Literally after this weekend, they re-turfed this stadium, and there was no possible chance of coming back any later than this weekend. So we decided it was better to take that opportunity and come to be in an iconic location like Villa Park than not. But in the future, we'll definitely be moving back further into the year, just to make it easier on everyone and have a more compact schedule. We acknowledge it's not ideal to have such a big space. Like I said before, we took the opportunity to lock in these venues when we could because they were the only options we had. And now, as we continue to move forward, we'll be able to be a bit more selective, I think, and get the schedule that we really want.
Anybody else?
Just for any of the riders, there are some stops on the championship schedule that aren't really a traditional Supercross, motocross, locations. Specifically talking about like Singapore and Abu Dhabi. Anybody have any comments about racing? Well, Dean, you're going to go to sleep.
So hard.
But just taking the championship and racing really in some uncharted territories. What's that like for you guys? Excitement, challenges.
Go ahead, Shane. You got it.
I think it's kind of like Adam said earlier. It's building it on the fly a little bit, and I think when we get there, obviously a lot of us we don't really understand. Well, for myself, never leaving the States before last year during this championship, so to get to be here and see so many Max Anstey fans last year, and like people know the Supercross riders from outside the States, and that was big for me to see last year. Is like outside of the U.S., people love their sport, whatever that sport is, and so when we get to other places, I think it's going to continue to build and spread along the way, and I think that's something that, especially for myself, I don't see right now, but I'm seeing it happen every place we get so far. So yeah.
Time for one more before I have to wrap. Anybody have anything left?
I was just going to elaborate on
ahead, Max.
on Adam's answer. We are in June, July, and it's already raining a little bit out there, so you've got to be careful in England with coming to an open stadium. I did think could be a little keen, push it back any later. It could be a mudder for the first round, so I'm happy that the weather's gonna be all right. Yeah, England with an open stadium could be a little risky sometimes.
Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Don't forget, we're going to go ahead now and make our way down to the locker room area, and we're going to have a great photo opportunity for all of our journalists down there. From there, we're heading out onto the stadium, and we're going to have some time for some one-on-ones out there, some more photos, and some more opportunity to chat, okay? Thank you for joining us this morning.
Cheers.
There's no hiding it. There is no hiding it.